to je malo težek, vidim, da sem napačna majica za zdaj. Meni pa najboljš, ko smo imeli informativne za diplomski študij in smo bili v eni dvorani, ki je bil sam Može to so cool, pa tle, je najbolj grozen. Je pa tudi moteč.
Okay. So let's start. First, I would like to welcome everybody here at this Prospective Students Day, where my main goal basically will be to give you all the information that you need if you're considering to enroll to doctoral study or not, or maybe even to convince you to do that, right? So I'm Daniel Skachai. I'm the coordinator of the doctoral study. That's why I'm with you here today, but we'll have also some other members of faculty, staff, and students and so on who will help me to basically give you this information that you want to hear, basically. So as you know, at our faculty, we offer courses on 3 levels, like bachelor level, master level, and doctoral level. Now you are at the end of the second cycle, right, on the master level, either at this faculty or some other faculty, it doesn't really matter, or if you are welcome to our doctoral study. And this is the highest, how to say, the highest, not ranking, but the final journey for one student is basically a doctoral study. This doctoral study is not really, like this study name is something which is bothering me. This is really not a study as you are used to up to now. It's a totally different type of work. It's more research than study, but we'll come to that later on. But okay, let's say that this was enough for introduction. Let's hear what our doctoral students have to say about the doctoral study. So this is Mila Marinković. He will tell us what doctoral students like the most.
Mi je najbolj všeč to, da ponuja veliko svobode pri raziskovanju, hkrati pa te ves čas spodbuja k učenju, razmišljanju in razvoju lastnih idej. Tudi zelo dragoceno se mi zdi sodelovanje pri različnih projektih in sodelovanje z ostalimi v Levu.
Okay. Yeah. They'll be talking Slovene, but you have translation in English there, right? So to understand if you're not Slovenian speaking. What Jura Savnik has to say about
it? Pri doktorskem študiju mi je poleg samega raziskovanja tudi zelo všeč svoboda, ki jo imaš, torej res imaš čas, da se poglobiš v svoje stvari, malo raziščeš, kar te zanima, predvsem pa tudi stik z drugimi doktorskimi študenti in zaposlenimi na FRIU, ki ti dajo vid mogoče še v druga področja, dajo ideje, kaj bi lahko ti uporabil in nasplošno to sodelovanje.
Okay, I think that you could get the main point. The third one, let's hear Žiga Kogovšek as well.
Na doktorskem študiju sta mi predvsem všeč 2 stvari. Najprej bi izpostavil ljudi, s katerimi si obdan tekom doktorskega študija, saj so okoli tebe ljudje, raziskovalci, profesorji, ki zares obvladajo svoje tematike in so vedno pripravljeni na pogovor in delijo svoje ideje s tabo in s tem najdeš nove poti, s katerimi lahko nadaljuješ svoje raziskovanje. Druga stvar pa je tehnologija, do katere imamo dostop, saj imamo na naši strehi superračunalnik z najboljšo opremo.
And I swear that we didn't tell the students what to say, right? So this came from their heart. So, and I'm glad to hear that, right? So they enjoy working with us here at that faculty, that they appreciate the equipment that we have, that they appreciate the freedom. So this is what I most frequently hear from the doctoral students, that they have this freedom to work on the topics they want to. Of course, they select the topic at the beginning, right? So it's not something that falls from the sky. But this freedom is something which is usually not encountered in the companies. And this freedom gives the students the strength to work hard on those topics and to come up to some really powerful contributions. When talking about the doctoral study, as I said before, it's not a study in classical manner, in classical sense. It's you need to contribute something to the world of science, right? So if this is the current body of knowledge in the world, you need to extend that for a little bit to become it a little bit larger. And that's a great challenge. And if you have the freedom to do that, and if you have this internal drive to do that, that's what you can wish more, right? So it's really you do what you want to do. But as an effect, you become a strong researcher. I always say, so when you do a PhD on a particular topic, there mustn't be any person in the world that knows more about that particular topic than you, right? And this gives you a strength, basically, in that particular niche field that you selected. But also, you'll see when we'll go through the curriculum and so on, what you have to do, it builds you up. So you really become a very competent researcher, very competent professional on that particular topic. And this is what the companies like most, right? So that they get a very responsible, very knowledgeable person, not only in that particular niche topic, but also in general. You know how to do science, how to evaluate the methods, how to set up the solutions for the particular problem. Not only the problem that is solved, but also some other problem. And if I'm, I work here, right? But if I worked in a company, I would have the same. And when I talk to the employees, basically, right? So some students stay at the faculty. Most of the students go to some companies, right? And although you spend a couple, let's say 4 years, still studying, right, in this doctoral study, not working directly to some, problems in the company, you, next to this certificate that you get, that you're Doctor of Science, right, you gain all this knowledge and you sacrifice basically that 4 years to get there. Of course, typically you enjoy doing that because you like to do that. But also you must be ambitious enough to do that. And that's also a very positive aspect of doctoral students and students. And employers, at least the good ones, I would say, they appreciate that, right? So if you select this one or this one, I would select this one because he has proven that he knows to fight with the problems, to invent something new, to evaluate it, to go over all the obstacles he faces on this path, right? So, and that's also this ambition, this motivation tells you a lot about the person you're dealing with, right? That also from this point of view is being a doctoral student, finishing our program is a plus, I would say. But going back to what we offer here, I think this very nicely describes what I want to say. Doctoral study is not study, it's research, right? So you will have some courses and so on, right? But the main point is research. You need to do something new, some innovation. You need to do, the main point of doctoral study is to make contributions to science. And to do that, you really need strong support as well, right? So of course, it will be up to you. You will write the dissertation, you will run the experiments, you will invent the methods. But if you have a good guidance, that like a good mentors that drive you there, that help you, they will not tell you, do this and this and this and this, right? So it's sometimes yes, but mostly it's up to you to come up with those ideas. But they will somehow guide you not to take paths that are not feasible or that are doomed to fail or something like that. They will give you some ideas. They will help you how to write the papers. They will help you to run experiments, at least to set up experiments and so on. So it's really important basically which mentor do you choose, and we have many of them at this faculty. We have 20 laboratories working on very different topics of computer information science. So some of them are small, but some of them are really very, very big, very powerful, with a lot of good publications and so on, right? So it's you need to select them based on what you want to do, right? What's your motivation? What topic do you like to work on? But also who you have on the other side, of course. You'll also typically be looking for some positions and so on. So what I want to say, we have really a quite nice offer here from the point of mentors as well as the laboratories. And these laboratories basically cover most of the computer information science. So we have a lot of expertise in bioinformatics, biometry, multimedia, cybersecurity, huge group working on language technologies, right? Blockchain and cloud computing, data mining as such, right? In different aspects of artificial intelligence, which is now so popular, including computer vision. We have strong group on supercomputing and so on. So we really try to cover every aspect of computer information science. Maybe some of them are stronger, but it's really, I urge you somehow. I said before that you will spend 4 years of your life working on your dissertation, and it's not the same if you enjoy 4 years or you suffer 4 years, right? So it's something that you will select to work on. It needs to be really interesting to you. You know, I always say if a researcher runs an experiment on Friday 2 o'clock and then waits, it runs for a couple of hours and then it waits until Monday to see the results, he or she does not have this drive inside. So you must be curious. You should wait, to see what the results are. So this is something that it's inside of you. So if you don't feel this curiosity, this drive to discover something new, then maybe this is not what you want to do, right? So it's at the beginning I said that maybe I will convince you to come here, but maybe I'll convince you not to come here, right? So I want to be completely clear that this is not a study and it's not an easy program. So at our faculty, we set the bar to pass, I wouldn't say very high, but to a decent level. So we want to really have a good doctorate. So we want to be proud of them, right? So that's why you need to take this study seriously. That's the message I want to do. And if you just want to extend your study life and your student life, this is not the way to do it, right? So this is a real job. But yeah, with respect to the range of expertise that we offer and equipment as well, right? As well, I'm pretty sure I can say the facilities. So I always say maybe we are not the best computer science faculty in the world, although I think that we are very good, right? But I think, I don't know, maybe MIT is a little bit better. Or there are also some other programs that are, objectively better than us, but we are probably the most beautiful, right, computer faculty in the world. So we really have a nice facilities. As you can see, we also are very well equipped. We have classrooms and laboratories and so on, but we really put a lot of effort and money as well in computing. So most of you are probably aware that we have like this Frida container on the roof of our building to host very strong computational power inside. So we will invest $5 million in this, right, to offer you, not euros, right? I don't know why I said dollars, but anyway, to offer not only of you, but all of us basically, really powerful computing equipment. We can't do research without the equipment, and we want to lag behind the best faculties in the world. That's why we're trying to invest as much as possible to offer you the environment that you deserve, basically, right? So that you do not that this cannot be an excuse not to achieve good results, right? And that's why we do as much as possible to make this happen. Okay. Yeah. So maybe at some other point I'll try to ask you something, right, to make this a little bit less unidirectional. But now we can ask also other students a little bit more about their work. So we'll see again Mila speaking about her research topic. So you'll see that the research topics are really diverse, right? All of them fall into the range of computer science, but most of them are quite interdisciplinary. Pay attention to that, right? So we know that computer science such and AI, which is in focus of most of the PhDs that we have, are now very, very, very useful in this interdisciplinary collaborations, and a lot of our doctorates actually stem from this collaboration. So first, Mila Marinković.
Moje raziskovalno področje je umetna inteligenca, predvsem razvoj modelov, ki se bodo uporabljali v medicini. Trenutno se ukvarjam z generiranjem sintetičnih podatkov iz domenskega znanja, kot je recimo strokovno medicinsko znanje. Te podatke bolj uporabljam za razvoj modela, ki bo omogočal bolj objektivno in razložljivo analizo realnih podatkov.
Okay, so basically it's AI in medicine. So can you read the subtitles? Okay, so I don't have to translate it, right? That was AI in medicine, basically. The next one is Jure Savnik. Let's listen to him.
V sklopu svojega študija se ukvarjam s formalizacijo naravnega jezika, torej kako naravni jezik zapisati formalno, naprimer z logiko prvega reda, in potem uporabljati formalne oblike za dokazovanje logičnih pravilnosti ali iskanje napak.
Okay, so totally different topic, right? Formal language description and so on. So it's really very, very different topic. Jean is some third topic.
Tematika mojega doktorskega študija obsega predvsem predstavitvene napade na biometrične sisteme, kjer želimo naučiti modele globokega učenja, kako ločevati med pravilnimi in lažnimi dostopi v sistem.
Again, right? So biometry, deepfake, and so on, this is also one strong point of our faculty, right? So we have a lot of such projects here. So, but to be a little bit more interactive, right? So to allow also to give a word to you, and maybe also a possibility to you to ask not only me, which of course will be possible, but also to the current and ex-students, our faculty. I will invite two students here to join me. First, please, Rebecca Kropiushuk-Leskovar, if you can join me and say a couple of words with me. So Rebecca is a female engineer of
the year,
right?
2024.
2024?
Yeah.
Okay, so it was last year for
it's for the prior
exactly.
year.
Yeah. So I met her several times, but I first saw her on the television, right? She was really great. I enjoyed every time when I saw her on TV how passionate she was about her profession, what she was working about, and she always said that she was, enjoying what she was. This is at least how I, how I felt, that you were satisfied with the job that you did, right? So, and you work more in computer vision field, right?
Yes,
in that area. And then I was very happy when I saw you on the list of our new PhD students. So now you're the first year student, right?
Yeah, but not computer vision.
It's not computer vision, but it's still AI, right?
Yeah.
So why did you change the environment? Why did you come to us, to academia,
there's two reasons. Specifically, when it comes to the topic, I was really interested in the program that I eventually applied to, which was AI for Digital Humanities, because one of the things that I think are missing specifically in industry is this interdisciplinary collaboration between different subjects. So for me, now I can finally work with people from humanities as well, not just pure engineers. That was the topic reason. When it comes to academia, I think as all of the students said, there is much more freedom here compared to the industry. And different type of pressure, but less pressure overall. The main thing that I really like with academia is when you're in an industry, you usually have some pressure to perform, even when you don't produce as quality products as you could. But here in academia, I think it allows you to really go in depth into a certain topic and create quality results, not just something to showcase and publish, even though publishing is an aspect of it.
Thanks. I mean, it was very well said, right? So it's when I was talking about that freedom, this does not mean that you have a freedom to do nothing, or to do whatever you want, or just to fly in the clouds, right?
Yeah.
It's a freedom to take a path to do what you want to do,
Yes.
right? And what you need to do, basically.
Yeah.
When those two meet, that's great,
Yeah.
right? So, and typically in industry, you're more limited with that,
Yeah,
right? So,
there's also the issue of, so in industry, no one cares about what you want to do. I think in academia, it's much easier for you to find meaning in your work because you have the option to decide which topic you want to study in the beginning and stuff like that. It allows you to actually feel like you're producing something creative to apply to the world, not just, I mean, I used to work in casino industry, so that was an extra. Compared to my current work, yeah, it's better for the humanity, I think.
Okay, so now we already discussed these differences, but okay, so how do you feel about our program, about environment here, like the conditions that we have to work on here? So it's.
I'll be honest. My favorite thing is that I have a very flexible schedule because I'm not good in the mornings, so that's a great plus. I can arrive a little bit earlier as long as I do my work, so that's really great. And I really like the coworkers and the lab I'm in. I'm really lucky. Before I went into the industry, I used to work at Josef Stefan Institute as a master's student, and I liked it there. But I think here there's it's still a little bit more open environment compared to there. So.
Okay, where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years? Let's say?
I don't know. Alive. No. I honestly, I hope I can stay in the academia. I would also really like to teach, or like at some point become a professor. I think it's a good thing to get like skills to teach another person the subject that you're working on, because it kind of helps you for yourself to synthesize like the knowledge that you have. I think that's also a really good idea. So hopefully a professor.
Yeah, and also a part of the doctoral study is also we have these soft skills that are important, right? So,
yeah.
Very often students are really focused on their own topic, but it's very useful to look a little bit broader sometimes, right? Although I don't know, like the bachelor study is very broad, the master is already more focused. The doctoral study, especially your dissertation, is really focused on that particular problem you try to solve, right? But still you have additional these soft skills like how to communicate something, right? How to write a proposal, how to write the paper, how to make the plan for development of some solution, to evaluate it and so on. So those skills are very, very important and very useful, right?
Yeah.
Also outside of this work here.
Yeah, even if you go into the industry, it helps you a lot. There's communication skills are sometimes much more preferred than the knowledge itself, because you have to know how to communicate it to other people. So.
I'll show later, like the curriculum, we also put at least some effort also on such kind of topics, right? In order to try to enrich the program with such skills. Okay, thank you very much. So let's move on, because I see that, but we are on time, right? So this was Rebecca. I'm really glad that she's here, and it's very nice basically to have also students with her background, and I often see students that leave after the study, after the master study, they go to industry, and then they got bored at some point, and they come to us, right? Because of this. But this is really, it's not for everyone, right? It's really if you have this internal drive to do that, and this happens quite often, I would say. Okay, maybe I might ask you, or shouldn't I, right? So are you considering to enroll to this study, or you just came here to see what it is about? In what stage are you now? Gathering information, trying to be convinced, or in yes or no? Because now it's the time to decide. As you know, later in early July, I think in the 3rd of June, it's a deadline for application. So if you have any question, that's why also we're here today, right? It's still 2 months before the deadline. We can ask those questions now. It's really important decision, I would say, what you will do in the next 4 years, right? So that's why we can clarify everything. You have these booklets here with this information and so on, but you can come to me, or you have 2 students here that will be willing to answer your questions. All the older ones will leave later on so that you can stay with them alone and ask all the nasty questions, not in front of us. But yeah, we are here today to clarify all the remaining issues, basically, if you still have. But let's move on. So, okay. No, sorry. No, please come to the stage again. I forgot to ask you this question. What do you do? But that's very important. When you are talking about the students, their work is the most important one, right? So where will you make the contribution to science?
So I'll be really quick. If anyone's interested, I can talk about it later with you guys. But basically, like I said, the main thing that was interesting to me here was the interdisciplinary between humanities and artificial intelligence. And so what I'm trying to do is basically create models for media analysis and literary analysis that allows us to synthesize some data and create like a structured knowledge graphs of which character archetypes exist throughout history, through films, books, folklore, stuff like that. And I think the most interesting thing with interdisciplinary work, especially when it comes to humanities, is that humanities isn't structured. And then somehow you have to find ways to create a structured thing out of it. So, for example, you can see when you create knowledge graphs that characters like St. George and James Bond, who on the first view don't seem that they have anything in common, actually are the same archetypes that exist from ancient civilizations up until today. So that's what I'm working on.
Okay, thank you. As I said before, we have a lot of these interdisciplinary doctorates, and this is definitely one of them, right? And when different disciplines, merge forces together, you can really make a great impact on both sides, I would say. But now let's move to, okay, I won't go into details, right? But still, I need to do this formal description of our PhD study. So it's 4 years. Until a couple of years ago, we have 3-year study, but actually no one finished in 3 years. So the UL University actually acknowledged that 4 years are at least needed to complete the doctoral study. And this is now, I think, quite okay, right? So if you do everything in time, I think 4 years are completely feasible to complete with your doctorate. So what you see in what is this dark purple, whatever, this is research work, right? So most of the time you will spend on research. We do also have some courses. Basically, this seminar 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 are courses, but again, they're very, very connected to the research. Seminar 1 and Seminar 3 are intended to study related work and to report about the related work and to understand what the others did and how to combine that with what you're doing, right? So it's officially a course. You need to prepare some report and something like that and present that. We heard before that communication is very important. That's why we ask the students to continually report their progress and their work and so on, to actually to learn that, to practice that as well. So Seminar 1 and 3 are basically, you need to do that. You need to study related work if you have the course or not, right? So it's basically officially a course, but really it's something which is needed for your research. Seminar 2 and 4 is about how to write, how to communicate, how to write a paper. Again, something you will be writing about your research, right? So it's also very connected to what you will be working on, right? Then we have those two courses, Scientific Skill 1 and Scientific Skills 2. So Scientific Skills 1 is about soft skills, like about communication in English, about ethics, about how to write proposal, how to write paper, how to review the paper, how to prepare a poster and so on, right? So it's really those soft skills that are really essential for any PhD student, and whoever holds a PhD needs to be knowledgeable and needs to have those skills. So that's definitely one. This course was Scientific Skills 2. It's in the final year when you already finished everything almost. Basically, it's about how to write a project proposal. So the idea is that in the framework of this, you write maybe your postdoc proposal, something like that, right? So how to write a proposal, how to get funding. That's an important skill that whoever holds a doctorate needs to have. That's why we put that in the final year to make use of it, right? Then the seminar 5 is basically when you're ready, when your doctorate is done almost, you submit it, and then your committee for evaluation of your thesis evaluates it, and it gives you the final remarks, right? So it's basically, we call that pre-defense, right? Because all the members of the committee are asked to give all the second thoughts, or the comments, or the suggestions to improve your thesis at this point. And once you finish, once you have this final course done, then basically you just wrap up the thesis, and the defense is then more celebration than anything else, right? So, so all the courses up to now are really very research-oriented. Maybe only those 4 courses, right? You have 2 elective courses in the first year and 2 in the second year. They are more classical courses you select from the list of courses. But also here we have 2 types of courses. One are classical courses where you have lectures and so on. Typically you don't have exams, or you pass with some either oral exam or typically with some project works, right? So it's, as I said before, it's not like a study in the first and second cycle Bologna, right? It's really research oriented. So also in these courses, what we ask the teachers, the professor, is that they allow you to work on your own topic, but on that particular methods that they lecture basically during the lectures, right? And even we have a bunch of those courses that are not really taught in a classical way, but they are executed in a mentoring way, right? You define with some professor about a particular topic, and then advises you how to proceed, right? And that's great if you want to master one particular aspect of your own work that would be useful for your thesis, but you are not maybe your supervisor is not expert in that particular field. Then you can somehow work with another one that is maybe better suited for that particular problem, right? So again, they are courses, but still they are very research-oriented courses, let me put it this way, right? So all the curriculum is somehow concentrated on your work towards your doctoral thesis. So yeah, is it clear, or do you have any particular question up to now also with respect to this? Otherwise, there'll be plenty of time to discuss that further, yeah?
These don't have to be like the elective courses that are not a part of the list right here.
Yeah.
They have to be from like doctoral programs, right? So
Yeah.
Like, they can't be like classes that are like the master's.
No, they have to be from doctoral programs. Yeah, that's true. So 2 of those courses have to be selected from this list. 2 of them can be selected anywhere in the world, but should be accredited as appropriate for doctoral programs. So if you have a particular course in mind, we can talk about that, whether it fits or not, right? But in general, they should be on the doctoral level. Although I know that some faculties, some universities, they they're also allowed to take master courses, right? And then we should talk whether they are appropriate or not, right? But yeah, but this is a general rule, should be on appropriate level. Okay, yeah, so this is this list of courses, right? So these are like lecture type courses. Basically, we hold these courses every second year. Why? Because there is no, I mean, every year we have around 10 or 15 PhD students. It used to be less than 10, now last year it was almost 20, right? So, but let's say around 15 recent years, right? So, because you can take those courses in the first or in the second year, we hold these courses every second year so that we pool the students, right? So that we have, because we offer quite a lot of courses, and one of advantage of the study as such is that you study together with your peers, right? So that's why you also insist on these seminars I mentioned before, that you participate at seminars, you present your work to the others. I really insist on the students to ask questions, to be engaged in this discussion. So this is a part of this education on this level. You need to be really proficient in this, right? In discussing, in debating, in understanding, asking questions, right? That's why those seminars are very important for that, and that's why we also need that at these more classical courses there are several students present together, right? To do this socialization between them, and that's why we hold these courses every second year, so that everyone can take it, because can take it in the first and second year, but basically we double the number of students. While these individual research type courses, mentoring, based courses, they can be given every year because they are based on every individual mentorship from a particular professor, right? But also in this case, when I had this course, I wanted to have it, I met with the students in the classroom at least a couple of times a year, so that I still keep them together, and that's advantage, right, of working in group, as opposed to work as one individual. Of course, most of the work will be done by yourself, but if you sit in a lab encircled with the colleagues, as we heard before, right, in the videos as well, that know something about that topic, that solved a similar problem, that debug that stupid bug already a couple of times, right? It helps you move faster into your direction, right? That's why it's very useful to work together, not alone. Although PhD, by its definition, it's one man's work, right? So, but it really depends how this work is done. Okay, now just a couple of defenses from last year, right? Just to show you this broad range of topics that we cover here. What we have, like, again, AI in medicine, DNA-based storage addresses, right? So it's really something non-computer science-like, but actually it really relates to computer science a lot, right? Anomaly detection, gene regulatory networks, again, one interdisciplinary one. This one was also interdisciplinary, about different kinds of learning. This is also continual learning, right? You see, we have really a lot of doctorates from the field of AI and machine learning in particular, because that's what is really the hottest topic currently in computer information science and broader, but also other aspects are covered. This is just a couple of them. This is also what we did. We took we looked where our doctorants when did they go after they finished doctoral study, right? So some of them stayed in academia, either as a teaching professor, assistant professor, or researchers, right? Many of them went to industry, and these are the companies they work in, right? Databox, Genialis, Duct, Philips, Novartis, and so on, right? And these are the positions they took, right? Like data scientists, lead data, whatever, technical lead, product steward lead, architects, and so on, right? So definitely, after you finish that, as I wanted to somehow communicate before, you're better suited for more challenging, more important, how to say, more responsible positions, right? More leading positions. Not because maybe you solved that particular problem, right? But because you're more qualified to do it, right? Because you earned a lot of experience and how to say, you solved a lot of problems on the way there. So that's why that makes you more qualified for more qualified positions, right? And this is again one sample of what we get, but it strongly supports what I'm trying to say, I would say. Or if you look broadly, we always want to show a couple of names, right? So to show where our ex-PhD students went, I don't know, Marinka Žitnik, she is the professor at the Harvard University, right? And I think she's the best researcher in the world on that particular topic, AI in medicine and so on. She's working on, right, for developing new drugs and so on. Sanja Fiedler, she's vice president of AI research at NVIDIA, right? It's we know what NVIDIA is, right? And so on. Juris Bonter at OpenAI, and I won't list all of them, right? But what I want to say, of course, they're not there because they finished our faculty, right? But anyway, that was a step towards there, right? So, and it also shows that we have a quite competent doctoral program, I would say, that gives some additional skills that are needed for positions like this. Okay, now let's move to our second guest today, Peter Roth, right? So he finished. So you defended your thesis 2 years?
2024, December.
December.
So
it's 1.5 years, let's say, right? So, but anyway, you traveled the entire path, right, from the freshman to the end, and now you are beyond that, right? So, can you describe us your? Again, I will ask you the same. Why do you come here? And maybe now we have. I can't ask Rebecca now what the program was because she's at the beginning of it, but you passed through the entire one, right? So can you comment on that a little bit more?
Yeah, okay, so the beginning started actually on master's studies. So I was visiting the lecture on image-based biometry, and we had a project on scleral segmentation and recognition. So that's a biometric task. And we were quite successful with results there. So I started working on scleral recognition and segmentation for my master thesis. And that's where I met my mentor, Professor Peter Peer, and then the collaboration started. And after my master thesis was done, I went to work in the industry for 1 year. And then our group got another project on privacy enhancing biometrics, which was the field that I was really interested in because I found myself actually reading papers after the work, because it was a very important problem or issue in that domain. At least I looked at the field of biometrics, and I found many problems regarding face recognition and so on, especially with respect to privacy. And yeah, it sparked my interest, and then I started working on this project on privacy enhancing biometrics. Also, my mentor was Vitomir Strutz, so they were commentoring me, Peter and Vitomir. And what I found the most important thing was that we had a really good interpersonal relationships. So I've always felt very good, like working together, and also whole team in our laboratory was very supportive. So another thing that I find really nice or in comparison to industry work is that when you're in the industry, it's kind of a closed environment in a sense that you're like working on some task, competing there. But in industry, but in research or academia, you can go to a conference, you can meet someone who's working in really related field than you, and then you can just join as a collaboration, and something new will emerge. It's like more open. You don't necessarily have strict lines, so this is ours and this is yours. But you can take ideas from other people, cite them, like give them credit, and like reuse their ideas, publish it, and someone else can come and reuse your ideas. So that's what I found really nice, really something different compared to industry. So this is my cover of my PhD. So I was working in the field of privacy enhancing biometrics. And if I just present it shortly, so if you're publishing image of your face on the internet, for example, or you're putting it to some face recognition pipelines, for example, to unlock your phone and so on, you can see that not only identity can be extracted, but also a bunch of soft biometric attributes. And if you look at GDPR or AI Act, those legislations try to protect sensitive information or personal information. And what I was looking at was, can we, for example, protect certain aspects that your face reveals, for example, ethnicity, gender, age, so on, and can you like still enable identification to prevent, for example, user profiling, targeted marketing, or discrimination based on the information that can get extracted from your face. And that's like shortly.
Okay, thank you. No, I mean, it's nice that we hear also not only about these formal points that I'm bringing up, right, but also on some content, right? What can be done here? Although again, this is only one topic, which is very strong, I would say. We have several PhD students working on this related topics, but in general, yeah, we have many more different aspects. But can you tell, because you went through the entire process here, so what would you emphasize? How did you feel about that, right? So,
yeah, it was very conductive environment in a sense that like ideas would come very quickly to me. Like feedback from my mentors was really quick, which is also very important that you have a good communication with your colleagues and supervisors, so you can really focus on what's your next step in your experiments. And I like that a lot. And besides that, I would say that courses that were offered here were all in a way related to my research, in a sense that they all dealt with machine learning, data science, and so on. So I could integrate it into my work. If not directly, I could be more like, okay, that's my field and that's other, and I want to navigate between them. So all the courses would help me to get a big picture of what data science is, and yeah. And besides that, I would say that presentation skills are very important in science. So if you're not able to communicate what you found or what you discovered, it has much less value than if you can make nice motivation and images that are descriptive enough that someone who's looking through your paper understands what you're doing. So that's one aspect that you obtain on the PhD studies.
Yeah. So what he just said, so that's really our goal, that all the courses, they contribute something to your, so that's the goal, ideally. You know, I know that we cannot achieve it 100%, right? But still, the goal is that all the courses that we have, they'll help you to make your dissertation better. So they're not just some orthogonal work that you have to do, right? But really push your dissertation further. We also introduced recently, we did, you know, offer a lot of courses on machine learning and so on, but there were some areas that were underrepresented, right? That's why we also enable now students to, okay, one is this, take this individual research projects where you basically discuss with individual researchers to support you, but now we also allow you to take some good online courses on that particular topic that you select, to attend to some summer schools that on that particular topic, and they also count as courses, right? That you can attend the conferences, right? Write the paper and attend the conferences. All of that basically contributes to you more than, I don't know, if you select a course which is not of interest of you, right? That's why we really want to broaden the possibilities that the PhD students have, and really to focus on your particular doctoral topic. Or maybe just the last question. So you finished that like half a year ago, like 1.5 years ago. What you're doing now, and what will you be doing in 5 years, let's say?
Okay,
Yeah.
so I kind of freestyle my career. I would say, like, I always look at what are current interests for me, because I found myself it's hard for me to plan like 5 years in advance or 10 years in advance, because in my life it always happened like, you know, found something new that sparked my interest, and then I dived in. It was same with my PhD. I never planned it, but it kind of naturally happened. And so what I'm currently doing is I'm working on a research also related to biometrics, which is on explainable AI. So we have these large face recognition models with billions of parameters, and we're trying to understand what are the internal representations and internal logic circuits that cause that someone is recognized as the same individual or as different individual. Because nowadays we're like training neural networks, like we're showing them billions of faces with some labels, but we don't understand yet why exactly and what exactly the identity is. So that's what I'm researching right now. So it's really, I would say, continuation of my PhD project, and I'm there working within the Faculty of Computer Science and Faculty of Electrical Engineering. And yeah, we'll see what comes next. But I hope I will work in research, because I enjoy reading and also writing.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank
right.
you.
So, yeah, and I think that's the main point, that you enjoy, right? If you want to do research, you need to enjoy research, right? And I think that holds true for all the PhD students that we have here. So, okay, let's move on. Yeah, so as I said before, you need really to have a good environment that supports you, right? And as Peter said, that's really very, we have in academia, we have this positive collaboration. So you want to collaborate with others. So we compete a lot, right? So we do not deny that. So when you have an idea, you have to implement it, publish before others did, right? I always tell the story how we developed something that we were slow in implementing and evaluating it, and then we saw almost the same method published in Nature, right? So, and then we are too late. So you need to, ideas are one thing, but then you want to materialize these ideas and to publish it as soon as possible. So, and we compete with the entire world, right? So it's not that we want to be better than Maribor, right? Of course we are, right? But we want to be better than many others, right? So it's really a tough competition, right? But also very, very fruitful collaboration. And so here we listed just a couple of institutes we collaborate with. We have much, much longer list, right? They're willing to collaborate with us, right? So it's this, and this collaboration is very fruitful, and or conferences, right? You want to publish something at conference and go there and present and tell everybody, you know, what you did, and then you're happy when everybody uses that, and then you see that papers that cite you. That's satisfying, right? Because you see that your work was fruitful, right? It pushed that particular science forward, and that's very useful. And if you want to travel, that's very desirable that you travel to this conference, that you disseminate your work, right? So we encourage that of the faculty. Typically, your mentors will have funds for traveling on their projects, right? But you also offer at the faculty level some reimbursement of some costs to even foster this dissemination of work. So it's really, we're aware of that this collaboration is of great importance, right? And especially in computer information science, where the conferences are more important than the journals, right? So it's really, and that's why also everything is happening so fast in computer science. Because typically when you submit a paper to a conference, you also publish it also on arXiv, right? So it's a publicly accessible repository of all the papers. And when you present that paper on the conferences, you have 5 papers that are already built on your paper, right? That's why this development in computer science, AI, and so on, it's so rapid. So I would say that we have a rich collaboration with different parts of the world. What is also worth mentioning here is that at the PhD level, if you're interested in that, it's easy to have this so-called co-tutel doctorates, which means that you finish your PhD on two universities simultaneously, right? We have contracts signed with Cow's size, right? But it's really very pleasant location in the heart of the Europe. We have like from here 1 hour to the sea, 1 hour to the Alps, 1 hour to the Pannonia Plain. It's really a very nice country to live in. Also not very expensive, although I see that you updated those numbers for living costs, right? Which reflects basically what is happening. But it's still much more affordable than many other countries, I would say. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? Maybe I'm old and I see these things differently, but still, comparing to other countries, I think it's a very pleasant country to live in, right? And I also think it's very well, it's friendly towards students, and if you're considering from wherever you are to come to Slovenia, you're very welcome. Do you agree with what I just said? You all live in most of you live here, right? Okay, so they said that it's correct. Okay, I have one objection here.
So it's not 9,800 euros per month. So that's a typo in the...
Where? Aha, in the booklet. Okay, yeah. Okay. So, but this figure is right. So, yeah. Okay, so from like this formality point of view, how to apply for our PhD program, this is the most important date, the 3rd of June to 2026. This is the deadline for application. It does not mean that you have to fulfill all the requirements, right? You can defend your master thesis after that, but this means that you apply until then. Why did we set this deadline earlier than most of the other faculties? Because we typically have a number of PhD students also from abroad. And if you're coming from abroad, you need some time to sort out all the papers, right? Documentation and so on. And it can take, some time. So it's safer to have this application date earlier, so that until October, so we start our academic year on the 1st of October, and so that until that, then you arrange all the formalities that you need, right? But usually we have also another. If you don't fill all the spots, available places in June, then we have another open call in August, right? But don't count on that. So if you are interested in that, you apply until the 3rd of June. and then you have to fulfill all the requirements, basically, to finish your master study until mid-September. Let me put it this way, so that you can enroll in late September and then start in October. These are the application enclosures that you need to do: CV, order certificates, motivation letter, recommendation letters, right? So if there will be too many applicants, then we'll need somehow to filter them, and we have rules how to do that, and we need those attachments in order to do that. What you need is mentor's acceptance statement, right? So you need to find a mentor. It's not carved in the stone. You'll be able to change that if you want, but it's really highly advisable that you find a mentor, you find a topic. You also need to write a short concept design. So it's not really proposal or something like that. It's not draft, right? It's really short conceptual design of the research work. So what is the topic you would like to work on? Then you will have time in several months to make that more precise. You will basically have to submit your dissertation proposal in the second year, right? So you'll have 1.5 years almost to really define exactly what you'll be working on, but you're supposed to know already approximately at least the field of your research when you apply, right? So about tuition fees, they are like 5,300 euros for the first and second year, 3,000 euros for the third and fourth year. But I have to tell you right away that most of it is reimbursed by the state, basically. So every year there is a call, and I don't know, 75–80% of this tuition fees you don't have to pay, right? But the other part is basically it's on you, or maybe on the lab that you work in, typically, right? So it's not such a big problem, I would say, this tuition fee. Everything clear? Okay, so yeah, especially for the students coming from abroad, we have Vesna is not with us today, right? Anyway, so she's very kind, very helpful. Vesna Gračner, she's the head of international office, so she will offer you support in advising on documentation of recognition of education, for instance, that you need to attach, finding an apartment, and she will give you all this basic information about living in Slovenia, right? So the international office will be of help to do that. And now, of course, at the end, and I'll conclude with that, of course, like tuition fees, I said before, they're not such a big deal because most of them are already covered, right? They do not cost a lot, but of course, now you're not students anymore, right? So typically, that's the difference again. Like when you're a student in the bachelor and the master level, you study, right? But on the third level, you do research, right? And that's work. That's why, in my opinion, it's fair to be paid, right? So that's the best option that you can get, right? So that you find a job that supports your ambitious research goals, right? And when you match those two together, so when you're paid for something that you enjoy doing, and at the end you even get the PhD diploma, that's the best option that you can get, right? So, and we offer a lot of options we have a lot of open positions at this faculty. Of course, you can also get employment somewhere else and just study here, right? But here I have a list of open positions at our faculty. In general, we have like 3 types of them. We are always looking for teaching positions, right? For teaching assistants. We have a lot of courses to assist with. Then we have a number of junior researcher positions, mladi raziskovalci. Whoever comes from Slovenia, you probably know that, right? These are usually the most wanted positions because they are really focused on topics on your research. And then we have research positions on some projects where the projects are about something and you need to deliver there. And then if your desired research topic is aligned with them, that's great as well, right? Because you are again paid to do research. Basically, you're working on the project, but together you are working on your PhD. So I'll just list a couple of them. These are those so-called junior research positions. We have 8 of them. It's even not 7, it's 8. It's one more than I thought, right? It's on different topics. You have the names here of the supervisor that actually got these positions, right? And you just contact them if you're interested. If your broad interest lies within those research areas that are specified, contact them and talk to them what your goals are. When we are, we had to write our course description of the doctoral thesis, right, of these doctoral topics, right? So it's already somehow defined, and if you can find yourself within those, that's great. Just contact them, right? So be aware, application deadline for this is the 8th of May. It's quite soon, right? So if you're interested in these positions, be quick. And then we have other positions on other projects as well, right? So this is basically, I'm looking for someone to work on visual anomaly detection, for instance, right? We have a couple of projects on this topic, and I'm pretty sure we could shape 2 dissertation topics in these aspects, right? So if you're interested in visual anomaly detection, contact me. If you're interested in biometry, contact Peter Per, who was mentioned by another Peter previously, right? So they also have a lot of projects on biometry, and as is written here, and they're always looking new prospective students to work on them. In computer structures and systems laboratory, they are working on quantum computing, and if you're interested in that, contact Micha Mraz.
Question, but these that you're listing, these are not positions for juniors?
No, these are not. Mostly, some of them maybe are, right? But not all of them. So, and one is junior researcher, and we have 8 of them, but we just got a project, right? And I'll be looking for someone to work. It's not junior researchers, but it's a research project. For 3 years or 3.5 years, but I have another funds for extending that to 4 years, right? So typically when you have a project, at least we're writing a project proposals, sometimes we have already in mind who will work on that project. Sometimes you don't, right? But we shape the project in such a way that it will support one PhD student. So there's a topic, you need to solve it. We promise to do something. We know exactly how to do something. We know approximately how to do something else. There are some ambitious goals that we don't know yet how to solve, but that's perfect for PhD, right? So someone comes into your lab, you give him. So if his interests are aligned with what you wrote in the proposal, and most of these descriptions are like this, right? Like another kind of projects, not necessarily young researchers projects, right? But research projects that are available currently in the lab. Okay, if I move on, Micha Moshkon is Vice Dean for Research. So he's the big boss of our research here. So will you say a couple of words about this topic?
So this position is open for work on a project. So it basically deals with using different modeling approaches on the data obtained from the cities on the urban data. So yeah, so if you're interested in more details, you can just contact me.
Again, interdisciplinary project with urbanists and all that. Yeah, so it's an interesting topic as well. Slavko Žitnik offers a project on advanced language models, knowledge modeling, and so on, semantic web. So if you're interested, contact him. Then we have Peter Kochowski working on things to cloud computing and related topics, right? And they have a number of projects in this field, so I'm pretty sure they will be looking even more than one at some point, a researcher. Marko Robic-Šikonja, he leads a lab. Rebecca was talking about, they have several large projects, a lot of PhD students, and I'm pretty sure they will be looking for more, right, as described here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think it's permanently open, right? Yeah. So yeah. Bojan Žunković, he's working on quantum computing as well, right? So this is again one field we would like to really push forward, right? And then we also need young forces to help us to do that, and so on, right? So not all of them are listed here. Pay attention to our web pages. I know that in my lab we would have also probably need for some other topics as well. So come to us, contact us, I mean us, like professors. I mentioned at the beginning, there is 60 mentors available on that web page that was listed there. Discuss with them, tell your interests, they'll tell you what they're looking for, and then if you find the match, then that's great. I'll stop here because this was the final slide. About questions and answers. So maybe now it's the time to ask questions.
I have actually.
Yeah, sure.
Just
yeah.
details to be discussed. So if you need 2 recommendation letters, but if you apply under like a supervisor and he was your supervisor for your master's, can he write a recommendation?
Sure. No, I mean he knows you most, right? So that's very appropriate. In these recommendation letters, when I write a recommendation letter, I put the things I know the other, whoever is the other side would like to hear. Either positive, you typically don't write negative, right? But when you read a recommendation letter, you see the attitude of whoever writes it, right? So it's that's why they're useful, right? So you can read between the lines, right? And when you have to select, I mean, frankly speaking, usually we don't have to, right? So usually don't fill all the spaces that you have. This year we almost did, but we increased this year the number of available places. So I don't expect that we'll really need to filter you out, right? But I think it's useful to sit down. Also that motivation letter. Okay, like now in the times of ChatGPT, those motivation letters are a little bit less useful than they used to be, right? But still, try to express yourself, why you are coming here, what your goal is, right? Sit down, spend 1 hour doing that, and it will be useful. You'll also make this reflection inside you, right? Why you would like to do that. I think that's useful. Yeah.
Question about like that letter, motivation letter. Like, how easy is it for like you guys to tell like somebody use like ChatGPT or like a language model versus if it's like organically?
I mean, if you read between the lines, right, you can see that, right? But okay, we don't have interviews here, right? For some other positions, let's say for MI, right? We had interviews, right? So, and on these interviews, you see, right, this difference between motivation letters and what you find out from the other person on the other side. So, but as I said, here this is not an issue, right? So it's really not something to be worried about.
I just have thoughts on
Yeah.
I feel like, I mean, especially if you don't fine-tune ChatGPT, if you write it to write your motivational letter, it's very like American coded, very like over the top, very.
But if you prompt it correctly, right?
I know, but I'm just I feel like in your motivational letter, you're not supposed to. You're just supposed to write what you actually think and not use all of the schematics that you're supposed to put.
My suggestion is, do not start with, since I was 4 years old, I was interested in blah, 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 right? So be yourself. And it's really, if you do what you just said, you can see that, right? It's more natural, it's not artificial, it's not so general, right? So it's, yeah.
question. For the young researcher versus like the, I guess like the normal researcher positions, what's like the difference? Is just like more experiences like needed?
No, I mean, there's not a big difference. One difference is that when you have like these ordinary projects, they have deadlines, they have deliverables and so on. So you're more, how to say, framed into that particular project. But if you're working, so if your interest, if your PhD is aligned with the topic, with the problems, with the promised deliverables of that project, then that's basically the same, right? If they're not, then you have to do some extra work. While if you're, but also for these young researchers, we have to write down the topic, but that's not so carved in the stone than it is in the projects, right? So maybe you can shape that a little bit more in the direction that you as a young researcher would like to work on. So that's why these young researchers are a little bit more favorable. Also, these researchers are for 4 years, whilst the projects are typically for 3 years. Then the mentor has to find some other source of money for the 4th year and so on, right? That's why these young researchers are the most wanted, I would say, right? But in general, also those projects are fine, right? So the only problem is we also have a number of doctoral students that work in a company, right? And that's, if he works in the company, if the goal of the company is to solve that particular problem, that's fine. But if he works, if he wants to do this PhD on his own wish, and if it's perpendicular to what he does in the company, then this is, it takes more time, because doing a PhD is a full-time job, more or less, right? So that's why I would suggest you to be, that your regular work is as aligned with your PhD topic as possible. That's why also like teaching positions. So if you have full-time teaching position, teaching assistant position, right? If you need to have these lectures or tutorials or whatever, it's also quite time-consuming. So your research suffers, and also this extends a little bit. So if you have half-half, that's I'm also advocating this half-half position, like half for research, teaching assistant, half for research. That's doable, right? But if you're full on teaching position, it's doable, right? But with a lot of effort, and typically takes longer, right? That's why like the combination of both is better. Other questions? Yeah.
How hard is it for someone without a bachelor's or master's degree out of computer science to catch up on PhD? Is it possible? Is it hard to do?
Okay, so at the end you will obtain a PhD, doctoral, you'll be doctor znanosti s področja računalništva. So basically doctor of science from the computer science field of view. So what is required is that you make a contribution to science in the field of computer information science, right? So let's say that you're working in medicine and you have, you want to make some diagnosis tools for a particular disease. And you take some existing machine learning method, you ran that model on the data sets, or maybe you collect the data sets or something like that, and then you solve the problem. So it's very useful, it's of great importance, it's a great contribution, but not in the field of computer information science, because you didn't do anything new in the field of computer science, right? So you did something new for medicine, so you should obtain your dissertation there, right? However, this never happens, right? It just works. So you need to upgrade, extend, develop new methods to solve that problem. And then this counts as contribution to computer information science, because that's fine. So you deserve that title at the end. Now, if you don't have prior education in computer information science, that's more difficult, but it's not impossible. So we have several examples from law, from social areas. So most of our students are either our ex-students or ex-students from other technical faculties, almost all of them, or really vast majority of them, but you also have some others. They have to catch up, so you need to program, you need to run it, so it's definitely it's more difficult, right? But it's not impossible, let me put it this way. So if you have this internal drive to catch up with, of course you'll not catch up 5 years of study before that, right? But at least those skills that you need to work on that particular topic that is the topic of your research, that you can really make an impact in the topic of computer information science. So you need to catch up that, right? At least that part. So I would say it's more difficult, but not impossible.
Maybe I can add here, my lab has a lot of people who are like linguists and philosophers and sociologists originally, and they came here to do the PhD. It's good to have some background knowledge when it comes to programming, specifically like Python and stuff like that. But you do have people in the lab that are willing to help you, and your mentors usually also are willing to help you. And when it comes to like LLMs and prompt engineering, it's much easier for you to learn because the prompt engineering itself is much more similar to how people talk to each other. So that's also a great plus. And it's definitely doable, but you will have to put a little bit more work in.
Actually their lab is a good example of that. But it's also really true that the environment itself is very inclusive, right? So they really help them. And when I'm listening to the defenses of their research work, I hardly notice that their prior education is not from computer science, right? But you feel through the topics that they do something else, but still, at the end of the day, they'll make contributions to computer information science, and this is what it matters. Other question? Do we have any question online? We don't? Do you want to ask something? No, I will finish this, right? I will finish, we'll switch off the cameras so that maybe you'll feel more relaxed, and then you can ask either me or both students we have here. Did I forget anything? Shall we add something?
No, I think.
No? Okay, then we are done. So thank you to all of you for coming. I hope that you got the information you needed. If you need additional information, do not hesitate to contact me or Mika or Aleš or whoever, right? We'll be willing to help you figure out whether that's something for you or not. And I really hope the answer will be yes, and we will meet in October on the introductory course to the doctoral studies. Thank you.